Is the federal government justified in deploying troops on American soil when local order breaks down? Or does it become an alarming overreach that threatens our liberties?
That's the big question, isn't it? And it's not just theory.
Not at all. It's happening right now. That's what we're diving into today.
Exactly. Fox News is reporting federal plans, pretty significant plans, to activate the National Guard. We're talking 19 states here.
19. Wow. Which ones?
Okay, let's see. Alabama, Arkansas, Florida, Georgia, Idaho, Indiana, Iowa, Louisiana, Nebraska, Nevada, New Mexico, Ohio, South Carolina, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, Utah, Virginia, and Wyoming.
That's a huge chunk of the country.
Yeah.
And it's happening soon.
Yeah, the deployments are set for August, right through mid-November.
Yeah.
And Texas looks like it's getting the most significant presence.
And the justification. What's the official line?
Well, it's being framed as a crucial response, to rising crime, illegal immigration, things that, well, some states and cities seem to be really struggling with.
Right. You see the headlines. So this deep dive, it's really about presidential power, state sovereignty. I mean, the fundamentals of how America works, isn't it?
Absolutely. The very foundations. Okay, so where do we start? Maybe with the Guard itself.
Good idea. What makes the National Guard different?
Well, it's a really unique part of the U.S. military. It's mostly made up of part-time reserve units.
Part-time. Okay. So they have civilian jobs most of the time.
That's right. And this gives them this kind of dual nature. Governors can call them up for state emergencies, floods, riots, that sort of thing.
So state-controlled.
Primarily, yes. But, and this is the key part, the federal government, the president, can also activate them for national issues or even deployments overseas.
Ah, okay. But isn't there a law against using the military for domestic policing, I think it's called?
The Posse Comitatus Act, yes. And you're right, it generally stops federal armed forces, like the regular army, from acting as civilian police. They can't just go out and make arrests.
So how does the Guard fit in?
Well, here's the crucial exception. Posse Comitatus generally doesn't apply to the National Guard unless they've been federalized.
Ah, okay. So under state control, they could provide support locally.
Exactly. That's why they're often the main military force for local support, working under the governor. It's designed to be a state asset.
But presidents can federalize them, take control away from the governor.
They can, yes, in what are called extraordinary circumstances. This sometimes happens when, the folks in Washington feel the state leaders aren't doing enough. Maybe not enforcing federal law properly, or maybe losing control of public order.
And that creates tension, I imagine, federal versus state.
Huge tension. It's right at the heart of our federalist system. It's this constant push and pull we see throughout history.
So this isn't the first time this has happened?
Oh, not by a long shot. American history is full of these moments.
Really? Like what's the earliest example?
You have to go all the way back to George Washington, the 1790s.
Washington himself. What happened?
The Whiskey Rebellion. It was a protest against a federal tax. Washington federalized state militias to put it down. First time it happened.
Wow. Setting a precedent right from the start.
A powerful one. It showed the federal government could and would enforce its laws within states.
And then Lincoln, during the Civil War.
Absolutely. In 1861, right at the beginning, he federalized state militias, something like 75,000 men to suppress the insurrection. A massive use of federal power.
Okay, fast forward a bit. The Civil Rights era must have seen some of this, too.
Definitely. Think about Little Rock, 1957, Eisenhower.
The school desegregation crisis.
Exactly. Ike sent in 1,200 Army troops and federalized 10,000 Arkansas National Guardsmen to make sure those black students could attend Central High School. He completely overrode Governor Faubus.
Just imagine being one of those guardsmen. One day told to block the students, the next day told to protect them.
A profound shift, wasn't it? Shows the raw power of federalization. Kennedy did similar things too, federalizing the Guard in Mississippi and Alabama in 62 and 63 to integrate universities, again, against the governor's wishes.
I'm Lyndon Johnson.
LBJ. LBJ was very active here. 1965, Selma. After Bloody Sunday, he federalized the Alabama Guard and sent Army troops to protect the marchers.
A critical moment.
Then, just 2 years later, the Detroit Uprising in 67, huge unrest. LBJ deployed 8,000 Michigan Guard and 5,000 federal troops. He was very clear, saying, pillage, looting, murder, and arson have nothing to do with civil rights. They are criminal conduct.
Strong words. And more deployments followed.
Yes, 1968, after Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated. Terrible time. Riots in D.C. in over 100 cities. Johnson activated 1,750 Guard and 12,000 federal troops. It even led to a 9-month military occupation in Wilmington, Delaware.
9 months. That's significant.
It really was. These weren't small operations.
Were there other reasons besides civil rights or unrest?
Sure. Think about 1980. Jimmy Carter activated over 1,700 Coast Guard reservists during the Mariel boat lift, the Cuban refugee crisis. 125,000 people arrived.
Okay, so humanitarian crises too.
And then, more recently, George H.W. Bush, the L.A. riots in 1992. He used the Insurrection Act, federalized almost 6,000 California Guard, sent in 4,500 soldiers, over 60 deaths, $1 billion in damage. It was intense.
So the bottom line is, this Insurrection Act, it's been used a lot.
Over 175 times in 200 years. So while it might feel extreme now, it's actually a recurring feature, you could say.
Which brings up that question again. Is it a necessary tool, or is it slowly chipping away at state control?
That's the debate, and it goes right back to the Constitution, doesn't it?
Yeah.
How did the founders see this?
Right. The Constitution gives Congress the power to call forth the militia. Correct.
Yeah.
To execute laws, suppress insurrections, repel invasions.
Exactly. And this ties into federalism, that core idea of dividing power, national government, state governments.
The founders wanted states handling local and particular interests, right? Like everyday policing. Keep it local.
Precisely. Decentralize power. Prevent tyranny. Let communities handle their own issues. Foster civic virtue, you know?
And then there's the separation of powers. Different branches, checks and balances.
Legislative, executive, judicial, all distinct roles. The executive, the president, needs that energy, as Hamilton called it, to act decisively, enforce the law. Congress makes the laws, the courts interpret them.
And underpinning everything is the rule of law. Laws apply equally to everyone.
Yeah.
Nobody's above the law.
Critically important. From a conservative perspective, these principles are vital. Preserve limited government, local control, but, and this is key, also recognize that the federal government must be able to act when needed, to uphold law and order when states can't or won't. It's a balance.
A difficult balance. Which leads us straight into the current debate over these 19 states. It sounds like a real political thicket.
It really is. And you hear strong arguments for intervention. Many conservatives are saying, look, local police are understaffed and underfunded. They can't enforce the minor crimes, and things spiral.
You hear that frustration, like that Chicago resident calling the city a bloodbath, citing shootings. The feeling seems to be if local leaders won't fix it.
Someone needs to step in and do it for them. That's the sentiment, especially regarding what they see as rampant crime and mass illegal immigration. It's a call for order when local systems seem overwhelmed or unwilling.
Now, what about the fear of martial law? People hear troops and immediately think that.
It's an understandable fear, but it's important to clarify. These deployments under the Insurrection Act are not martial law. Martial law means the military takes over completely, bypassing civilian courts and laws.
So it's different.
Very different. As one person online put it, if martial law is declared, you won't need to ask, you'll know. But still, seeing soldiers on the streets, it can definitely raise concerns about, militarizing society if it's not handled very carefully.
And let's be honest, politics plays a huge role here.
Oh, absolutely. You see comments like, Democrats were practically begging for the Guard under Biden. It's only an issue now because it's Trump. Whether that's entirely fair or not, it shows how political the whole thing becomes. Who's in charge matters a lot in terms of perception.
It really does seem like a political tightrope. What about the actual role of the troops being deployed? What are they supposed to be doing?
That's another point of debate. Some argue they provide vital support capacity. Things like administrative work, maybe data entry, helping out agencies like ICE with logistics. The Idaho National Guard spokesperson actually confirmed their people would be doing admin support for ICE offices.
So not frontline policing.
Not necessarily, but critics, including someone identifying as a cop online, argue the Guard just isn't built for everyday law enforcement support. They worry it could lead to power struggles, civil rights violations, maybe even more civil unrest. Basically, they question if it's effective or even appropriate.
A real split, then, on whether it helps or hinders.
Definitely. So far, we've mostly talked about the president, the executive branch, but the courts, the judiciary plays a role too, right? Sometimes they can step in.
Ah, yes, judicial intervention. Let's talk about that, especially these things called nationwide injunctions. What are those exactly?
Okay, so imagine a federal policy, like maybe related to immigration or environment. Someone challenges it in court. A single federal judge, just one, can issue a nationwide injunction.
Meaning?
meaning they hit pause on that policy for the entire country. Not just for the people involved in that specific lawsuit, but everywhere. It's a huge amount of power for one judge.
Wow. That definitely expands the court's reach into policy, doesn't it?
Massively. And then you have these interveners, people or groups who weren't part of the original lawsuit but jump in later.
And that causes problems.
It can. Sometimes they essentially hijack the case, preventing a settlement everyone else agrees on, or forcing an appeal just to keep the fight going. This gets really noticeable when, say, a new president comes in, and these interveners try to block the new administration's policies through the courts. It feels less about law and more about politics.
Which connects to some conservative concerns about the judiciary, right?
Yeah.
The idea that courts might be legislating from the bench.
Exactly. When courts seem to be making decisions based on their own beliefs, or going beyond just deciding individual rights to actively shaping public policy, well, that expands judicial involvement in political cases. It risks politicizing the courts.
Which isn't what the founders intended.
The idea was an independent judiciary focused on impartial judgment based on the law, separate from political wins, not setting policy agendas.
Okay, so let's tie this all together. The founders' vision versus today's challenges. What were those core founding principles again?
Life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, universal natural rights, government by consent of the governed, and crucially, a government limited by a written constitution, a higher law. Pretty radical stuff back then.
And the conservative critique of modern liberalism. How does that contrast with this vision?
Well, the argument is that modern liberalism has kind of drifted from those roots, that it tends to reject objective truth and natural rights, seeing people more as empty vessels shaped by society.
And equality gets redefined.
That's the critique. Instead of equal rights and equal treatment under law, a level playing field, the focus shifts to equality of condition or equal outcomes, which, the argument goes, often requires unequal treatment by the government to achieve those outcomes.
A fundamental difference in philosophy.
A profound one. And this shift, moving away from constitutional limits towards what some call the administrative state, that's a big concern.
The administrative state. Meaning all the government agencies, the bureaucracy.
Exactly. Power shifts from elected officials accountable to us, the voters, to unelected bureaucrats and agencies making rules that affect our lives. Often, these agencies aren't very transparent or directly accountable.
So power gets centralized, less visible.
That's the worry. It becomes unaccountable, indeed largely invisible to the American people, potentially undermining the whole idea of government by consent expressed through elections.
And how does this relate back to deploying troops?
Well, if you already see power centralizing in Washington in unelected bodies, how does that make you view a president sending federal forces into a state, maybe bypassing local leaders? Even if the intent seems good, it fits into that larger pattern for some people.
So this whole debate about the Guard, it really forces us back to fundamental questions. Federalism, presidential power.
And that vigilant and manly spirit Madison talked about, the spirit that nourishes liberty.
So thinking about all this, increasing federal action, judicial activism shaping things. What's your role as a listener in all this? How do you help uphold that constitutional balance between federal authority and state control?
How do you ensure neither side oversteps? That those founding principles, individual liberty, self-governance, actually endure?
It's a really critical question for all of us to think about.